Hiya, and welcome back to Far Beyond the World, the game that teaches us that if you have something difficult to tell someone, your best bet is to bang them first. Let's just hop right in. When we come back down, the room is even livelier and more animated than before. The number of guests has doubled at the very least, with the addition of quite a few colorful characters. At the bar, a group of mercenaries, for the lack of a better word, is enjoying their drinks and making merry. Two massive boars carrying heavy, intricately decorated axes and an equally big badger with a mace. That's exactly what happened. Ranok literally does naughty. We literally do naughty stuff with Ranok, and he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm abandoning you." If armed but not in uniform, they cannot be guards, and I doubt the city watch would allow bandits to walk around the town with weapons in hand. They must be muscle for hire. In that tune, I can see gambling continue in the central tables, with cards and dice being enjoyed by at least half a dozen and twice the number of spectators. This place got awfully crowded. What time would you say it is? Hiya! 14th hour at the very least. So around 10 p.m., I think to myself. I was told that the broken keg is quite popular among the lower class of this city. I croon, not entirely dismissive of the place. There's definitely a charm to this level of activity, even if the clientele is rougher around the edges. In truth, I could enjoy this, now that I finally picked up a drowned-out lute being strung by a small fox played comfortably near the window, with his hind paws on the table. He's playing a rather pleasant tune, despite the loud conversation, laughter, and shouting completely overwhelming it. In the far corner, notice a cute athletic hyena in a very revealing tribal outfit talking some business over with a wolf and a husky. It almost looks as if they're flirting, with the towering males smirking every now and then between each other and their tails giving electrified flickers whenever the hyena stretches or giggles. I have to admit that he's quite seductive, and I take note of some of his more subtle ways of provoking his companions. What are you looking at? Nothing. I shake my head, not really wanting to draw attention to this potential interkin threesome in the making. Was just admiring the scenery. Yeah, it's a lot to take in. Ranok sounds troubled, and I smile. I forget that to him it's a brand new experience as well. The last time he was here, he was just a pup, and I doubt they took him to such seedy places. I rub his arm encouragingly, only to pull back reminded of our ongoing argument. As I turn my head away, I notice Sylph whispering something to the innkeep, who smiles gleefully and rubs his paws together. It doesn't take long for the pudgy male to trot our way. "Ah, Master Wolf, I hope the bath was to your liking?" "Yes, now eat." "Ah, of course, of course." The tiger nods eagerly and leads us towards the table where the music comes from. "Right, I've told you that you could only play 4 songs and then would have to order something or fuck off." He glances over the unfolded hat only to notice 2 small copper coins. "I don't see an order coming up, so beat it." A slap of the napkin causes the fox to jump up to his feet in a noticeable annoyance. "I didn't get to finish my 3rd one. I don't care. Go earn your coins somewhere else. I've got a business to run. And you wonder why your establishment lacks refinement if you chase away all the entertainment. Refinement doesn't pay my bills, kid, while filling those tables does. And trust me, having them full is mighty more entertaining than your torturous harping." I feel slightly awkward and uncomfortable having the fox chased away, but the innkeep doesn't have much time for us to dwell on it. Doesn't leave much time for us to dwell on it. "Here you go, good sirs. Let me tidy up." The chubby male flutters his napkin across the table as if it were doing anything. "I'll come back in a moment with your meals and drink. Ale, stout, or lager?" "Ale." With the table clean, we take our seats, and I suddenly follow the fox with my eyes, feeling of guilt growing in my stomach the closer to the door he gets. As he's about to pass the pending menage
Self-voicing enabled. As he's about to pass the pending menage a trois. Self-voicing disabled.
He's immediately hooked in by the muscly arm of the husky. At first, the fox is taken aback, but a few seductive words cause him to brighten up and join the conversation with the remaining 2 members of this sensual troupe. What is going on there, I wonder? Seriously, what are you looking at? I blink, noticing Ranok's confused gaze is darting between me and the wider room. My face flushes, and I decide to shake my head yet again. I'm not going to discuss my flights of fancy in our current mood. It's inappropriate. It's nothing, just general curiosity. And there it is. The wolf traces his hands across the hyena's torso, causing the petite male to shudder with anticipation to the utter delight of the husky and his tightly embraced bard. Fuck me, someone's gonna have a fun, busy night. I pull on my neckline. The room has gotten mighty hot all of a sudden. Our plates land in front of us with a wooden clunk, while the same waitress that took us upstairs brings our overflowing mugs with a brimming, knowing smile. Here you go, boys. You must be famished. Now, if you need anything, just call him, Kay. She says in a chirpy tune, and we nod with gratitude. The food doesn't look like much, but it smells incredible. It's a thick stew with strains of beef sinew intermingling with some carrots, peas, and onions in dark, rich gravy. It's all very much overcooked, causing every spoonful to melt in my mouth. A hearty, welcome meal after a whole day of this drudgery. Not bad. Ranok nods approvingly after taking a mouthful, followed by a deep gulp. The stew or the ale? Both, he states with satisfaction. I jitter slightly at the rambunctious explosion of cheer and laughter behind us. One of the gambling tables just witnessed an impressive comeback, and the players as well as spectators celebrate the winner. Seems safe. The wolf mutters reassuringly, and I grimace at his tortured point. No need for the pitch if the sale has already been made. I grumble, taking a prolonged gulp from my mug. I'm just saying it's lively and friendly. Too friendly. I snicker absent-mindedly, seeing the discreet touches dissolve into shameless groping. The wolf and the hyena go fully at it, with no one paying them any mind, while the husky simply chats the bard some more. I'm not sure if the fox is really into it or if he's fishing for coin, but theirs is a more restrained courtship. Oh, that. Ranok turns his head and finally hones in on my point of interest, causing me to blush. I now see why your attentions are so divided. Can't say I blame you. He shrugs, returning to his meal. Seems quite fun. The husky got the short end of it, though. Seriously, Ranok. Don't you Ranok me. You're the one gawking at a public makeout session. The wolf smirks and his happy tail taps draw me from a reluctant chuckle. I guess this place isn't all that bad. See, you could even entertain yourself while you stay here. He proposes coyly, finding what appears to be a rib in the stew and holding it up. Oh, and you'd be fine with that? Sure. He shrugs, gnawing at whatever meat is still attached to the bone. I mean, you made it perfectly clear that your choices are no longer my concern. Ugh. I sigh in annoyance. Although I can sense the air of levity to his jabs, I do not find this appropriate. It's too soon, and I still don't think he's treating my situation seriously enough. I don't want to stay here, interkin orgies or not. He chokes on my remark, coughing loudly and patting his chest, followed by a dousing share of ale. What? I shrug innocently. Two can play this game. Misinterpreting the lull in our spirited exchange, the barkeep joins us to ask how the meal goes. Everything to your satisfaction? Yes, yes. Anything else I can do for you, master? Not now. Leave. Ranok sneers, putting down the now cleaned out rib. The barkeep only smiles goofily and returns to his counter, while the wolf waits for some distance between us to resume our conversation. I really need you to work with me here. Our situation has gotten incredibly dangerous, not just for us, but for everyone involved. Yes, I understand that, but I've told you what I think of this ludicrous plan of yours. It not only won't work, but it will also backfire spectacularly. And then, no matter what you do, you'll put everyone in danger. That's just your speculation. I can't say I fault your logic. Some of your points are valid, but it does seem to come more from a desire to stay at my side. It's selfish, I should know, because if I acted upon my own selfish impulses, I'd take you back regardless of consequences. It is. But I'm not selfish, and neither are you. This isn't about selfishness. I slam my fist into the table, drawing the wolf's weary gaze. He looks to me with slight pity, which only aggravates me further. Of course it is. That's easy for you to say. You're not the one who will be stuck alone in an unfamiliar place with nothing but anxieties. Easy, is it? The wolf narrows his eyes. You make this situation all about yourself. Of course I am. I'm the one being left here. Do you really think that at no point I do not regret the situation we've found ourselves in? He throws in harshly, his hurt on display in a twisted muzzle. When I found you, I thought it would just be a matter of sheltering you until you got well, but then everything got complicated, with the tribe, the politics, and us. The last part causes him to wince slightly. I came to terms with things that are beyond my control. Why can't you? Because they are in our control, and I'm not giving up on us. In a perfect world, we wouldn't have wars and banishments to worry about, just endless bliss in each other's company. But unfortunately, not all of us can be stuck in a pipe dream. You don't have to worry about any of those things. You're young. You barely came of age. You very much could spend your life in endless bliss if you truly wanted to. It's your desperation talking. I watch as Wolf shrugs, reaching for the mug and taking a deep chug. Once he places it back onto the table, he gives me a more collected look, still somewhat remorseful, yet betraying some newfound determination. You know I would never run away from my responsibility, and I know you weren't selfish to expect it of me. You, just as much as I, would never be able to live with the knowledge that you left others behind. You're selfless and thoughtful. You've proven it beyond any doubt. Don't let despair twist your noble nature. That's not fair. I don't want to have any more of this conversation. You might think of me what you will, but I don't want my opinion of you diminish. Your opinion of me? I jolt up to my feet in clear outrage at his comment, drawing some attention to our table. Ranok only shakes his head and hoists up his paws in defeat. Please don't make a scene, he whispers, bidding me to return to my seat. There aren't many establishments left to choose from, and if you're so worried about having to stay in unfamiliar places, making yourself a fool in your potential new home isn't a good idea. I sit down reluctantly, my solemn gaze diverting from his muzzle. There's not much else I could say to change his mind, and in the end, a small part of me begins to understand that he might be right. It isn't fair, but insisting on it like a petulant child won't change the harsh reality. This foreign town with its strange people will be my home for the unforeseeable future, and with that realization, I simply fall silent. I don't even eat anymore. I've lost my appetite anyway. I just sit there, locking my gaze with the large windows opening on the streets beyond, thinking of Turnin and the village. Everyone's probably at the feast now, making merry, glad to be rid of the one thing that set their lives out of a well-worn routine. Whatever false sense of triumph I had during the bath is now completely gone. Once Ranok's done with his food, we simply return to our room in silence. Hold up. I ain't risking it. Oh god, did they update the UI in Streamlabs? Did they update the UI? Cause like, it's pretty weird now. He seems as much given up on the subject as I am. We're making ready to call it a night. I look to him with mild confusion, holding the folded tunic in my arms as Wolf removes a blanket from the bed and unfurls it onto the floor. What are you doing? I ask almost indifferently, and he winces slightly. I think it inappropriate. I thought we agreed to not dick around like that. Why make pointless gestures of what exactly? I scoff. Is you sleeping on the floor meant to be your penance? Stupid. I quip in annoyance and the wolf cringes slightly, picking up the blanket. If you'd rather we shared a bed, then... I don't care where you sleep. Do what you please, but don't make mockery of all the time we spent together. I'm sorry. You're right. I'm being silly. The wolf sighs in resignation and tidies the bed again, while simply clamber in. I take to one side of it, allowing for him to rest beside if he so chooses, but my back is turned firmly towards his. My concession is of good nature, not some desperate attempt at making up. I don't want him sleeping rough for no real reason. The bed is big enough. I'm sorry it has come to this, truly. He mutters, laying down beside me as the mattress wobbles slightly under his weight. But you must understand that there's nothing that would justify us coming back together. His voice wavers pitifully and I clench my lips. Oh my god. Oh my god. You need to come to terms with the fact that you'll stay here. The sooner, the better. I don't respond, desperately trying to keep the moisture out of my eyes. Again, there's not much else to say. Our journey is at an end, and as heavy a thought it is, it finally sinks in. Despite a heavy heart, sleep comes to me, while the rhythmic tapping of the rain continues outside. Even the feather bed, which is much more welcoming than the tent ever was, cannot send me off to the land of Nod. Ranok, emotionally and physically exhausted, snores softly beside me, with his massive chest expanding in a soothing rhythm. But I just stare blankly at the ceiling, mulling over the fact that tomorrow we will part ways. Try as I can, no matter how many different scenarios I play in my head, I cannot find any reason that would allow for my safe return. Just like he predicted. Perhaps Ranok could have placated his father, But Vither, that's another issue entirely. Although I understand his protectiveness of Korra, somehow his sudden shift of attitude towards me leaves a pit in my stomach. There's a fear buried deep inside me that we're looking at it all wrong. I still can't get it out of my head. The Ranasi. I can't get it out of my head. Vither is not what he seems and, at least according to Aerith and Taliesin, doesn't always have the good of his tribe at heart. Which makes me doubly convinced that being sent away is not what's best for the wolves. It could just be wishful thinking, but something doesn't feel right. I can't see Vither being a traitor. After all, he saved Varrock's life. He killed for his friend and shares a deep emotional wound with him. But one doesn't have to be a traitor to be trouble. Whatever those two old wolves have in store, I feel like it involves me being out of the picture. And somehow, I can't see it adding up to a happy ending for everyone involved. I don't want any harm to come their way, but Ranok seems completely blinded by his loyalty to both of his daddies. That just confirmed it. Varrock and Vither totally fuck on the down low. They totally do. Knowing I would be stuck here without any means to help them just eats me inside. Yes, it's a strenuous, torturous night, and the more I realize how helpless my situation is, the more bottomless my pit of despair grows. I don't want to be left alone here. I don't want to start again as an orphan with no one to count on. With no one to ground or to comfort me. As warm trickles of tears finally slide across my face, I bury myself into the pillows and try to rein in my emotions to no avail. I sob there quietly for some amount of time, until desperate and broken, I finally fall asleep. Jeez, Leo. I lay there in the dark in troubled dreams, suffocating void crushing down upon my chest. But I'm not alone. Why do you cry, child? Why do you suffer so? A strange yet familiar voice echoes through the darkness. What? Who's there? I try to peer into the surrounding void, but the thick pitch almost sticks to my eyes.
Fuck you! 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 Fuck you!
It's your mother, dear. Finally, the image of the sitcom woman appears from the nothingness. I hang my head and sigh heavily. I had a feeling you'd come back to torment me. Torment? It's not me who broke your heart now, is it? Why the disguise? You know I've already seen through it. It brings you comfort, does it not? She shrugs casually, her lips curling into an almost kind smile. Isn't that what you need right now? Some comfort? And you're meant to give it to me? I can give you more than anyone ever could. The woman spreads her arms invitingly, and I can't help but scoff in mild amusement. Why the sudden change of tune? I tried being the disciplinarian. Now I'm trying motherly love. We can make this work. Somehow, each time she utters my name, I feel as if a needle is stuck to my brain. Why is our name not showing up? Did it just, delete itself from existence? I feel sick and queasy with all my innards churning. We both know you're not my mother. I can be anything you want me to be.
Ooh, nobody gives a shit.
Oh, okay. She replies softly, and just like that, her form shifts to that of the gray wolf. Now, I'm trying not to get mad. I'm not mad at the game. I'm mad at the other mother bitch. I'm mad at the bitch that is right in front of us. He stands there, his strong arms confidently resting against his hips. Is this better? His warm timbre resonates through the nothingness, and my eyes well up in anger. How dare you take his form? Too soon? The false wolf snickers and I swing at his smug muzzle. But before I land a hit, the figure melts away into nothingness, a soft chuckle bouncing off into eternity. I knew you wanted to hurt me. I'm doing nothing of the sort, but they. I blink, seeing a form of Verissa. Then Vol appear at the different ends of the stark pit of despair. They are a different matter entirely. Cora. Tano. It's too much. I fall to my knees, tears flowing down my cheeks. What the fuck is going on? Poor. Finally, the female figure reappears in front of my eyes. Led astray by the very people he so eagerly trusted. Stop calling me that. I snap out, again feeling the name akin to a hot brand push into my skin. You're alone here, you know that? With no one you can rely on, no one you can trust. It's just you and me. Let me be your comfort. Mother always knows best. You're not my mother. I yell out in anger, but as much as I want to stand up and square off with the entity, I can't, feeling my strength abandon me almost as if drained. You're not my mother. I repeat in a more pitiful tone. Not the one I had, nor a new one in the cosmic sense. I know you weren't the one who brought me here. I feel it in every fiber of my being. That may be true. I blink, looking to the creature with surprise, and the woman smiles. If it's honesty you strive, you shall have it. But tell me, where is the one who gave you this new life you cherish so? You were left abandoned, guideless, and alone, like so many unwanted children are. I might not have given you life, but I'm the closest thing to mother you'll ever have. As surreal as it seems, I feel as if the nothingness surrounded me closes in. It's hard to breathe, and I almost sink into the blackened floor, but then another voice pierces through the void. Kaylin. What? I look up as if towards the sound, and so does she. And so the lies begin anew. The woman speaks through a casual shrug. The only lie here is you. I'm done playing games. Leave me alone. Leave? You and I are one. She smiles, but I'm having none of it. Leave me alone and never come back. Wake up, please. Her false light cannot begot happiness. Only pain shall await you there, and within the shadows I will be watching. I don't care! I shout out, and this time a bright flash of light shoots through the darkness for but a moment, stunning us both. I want to wake up. I state, and to my surprise, she nods. Very well then. Run along, little firefly, but you'll see. You'll beg me to come back soon enough. And then she fades to black. I wake up restless and unsettled, my rattled chest almost like a cage with a startled canary inside. Relax, breathe. The wolf asks in a worried tone, pointing towards his own chest. He's guiding me down from yet another panic attack. Do you remember? I nod, following cues from his own relaxed inhales. That's right, slow and steady, breathe. He continues his encouragement, and eventually I sigh heavily, finally composing myself enough to look around. It's pitch dark and the wolf hovers above me, reminiscent to our very first night. Sharing a bed in our current situation is awkward enough, but having Ranok looking at me with his worried knowing eyes is even more so. Everything's alright? He asks in that genuinely concerned tone of his, and I cringe a little. You've been panting heavily the last few minutes. I tried to wake you up, but nothing worked. Yeah, I'm fine. Just a bad dream. I straighten up, looking at the darkness beyond the window. It's still middle of the night. He mutters, following my gaze with his. I bet he can sense how upset I am, as my heart almost feels ready to leap out of my chest. And just like that, he confirms it with another question. You sure everything's fine? Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I shake my head and rub my face. I don't want to waste time mulling over my feelings. They're not exactly relevant right now, despite the wolf's prodding for details. I see no point in discussing it, not when it's absolutely clear that I'll have to deal with all of this on my own anyway. You seem a little freaked out. He mutters as I struggle to crawl from underneath him and get up to my feet. I walk towards the table and pour myself a glass of water, which I drink up thirstily. There's a mist gathering in front of my face, and despite the embers still burning inside the braziers, it has gotten incredibly cold. Without a word, I pick up the dress and decide to put it on. My fingers jitter so badly that I'm unable to clip the pins together. Okay, not a little, a lot. You're setting my fur on edge. It's fine. I told you, I'm fine. I snap, only to have him look at me pitifully. You're not. You're trembling and crying. You're very much in the same state as you were when we first met. What? Instinctively, I bring my hands to my cheeks, and there they are. 2 wet streaks trickling down, and I'm not even aware of it. I'm so stunned and surprised by my state that all I can think of is to lash out. And you're surprised by that? You're surprised that I'm falling to pieces when you've pulled the rug from underneath me. Seriously? I thought we were past this. He sighs, rubbing the ridge of his nose. Not by a mile. If that's how you want it to be. Want? I want nothing of the sort, but my wants clearly do not matter. Okay, enough. This time it's him who raises his voice. If you don't want anything to do with me, just say it, but don't jeopardize my mission. My people's life depends on it. The wolf looks to me with a serious expression, and I sneer. Of course, I wouldn't want to be the usual burden that I am. You can get me arrested acting the way you do. My people aren't looked upon kindly in this town. Gee, I wonder why. I really cannot deal with this right now. He sighs heavily, hiding his muzzle deep into his palms. I have enough worries as it is. Everything hinges on the audience with the magistrate tomorrow. My father's future. My friends' lives. Hate me if you need to, but please, try to collect yourself. His voice softens and he finally gets up, taking a few steps towards me. Tomorrow might be the last time we see each other for a very long while. I want it to be a good day for both of us. Like all the ones when you strung me along? I taunt challengingly and he stops in his tracks. I did what I had to give you some good memories you were clearly begging for. I wanted to help you through whatever it is you were struggling with. When I found you, you were weeping at the sight of the rain. You think that you... No, I won't be doing this. He cuts me off through a soft growl as he collects his gear. I won't be dragged into yet another argument. There are more important things at stake here than my standing with you. I never intended to hurt you. The wolf states plainly, turning his back on me as he approaches the door. Either you'll figure that out on your own, or you won't. That's your choice. I did everything I could to make amends. He says with a hint of hurt in his voice before stepping outside. I stand there, looking at the doors in shock as they close behind him. Once alone, my rattled chest begins to heave uncontrollably. How dares he? All this patronizing is insufferable. My face contorts painfully, and I feel another episode of hysteria approaching. I try as best as I can to control it, but surrender to the pain. Let it flow like a twin river. No, no! Oh, fuck. I watch as all remnants of brightness are being sucked out of the room, and everything begins to twist and turn. No, no, no. I can't stay in this room. The walls seem to close in on me. I rush towards the door, struggling to take hold of the door handle. Finally, with a firm grip, I manage to turn it, pulling on the door with all my might as the room presses against it as if it were underwater. It's a Herculean task to even crack it a little, but eventually a big enough gap allows me to squeeze through. The door slams violently behind me as I fall into the corridor, immediately throwing myself towards the only window. My hands tremble as I try to unlatch it and get some fresh air. The panel moans as I slide it upwards, pushing my head outside to take greedy inhales. Once I feel the gentle breeze cool me down, I return back inside, sliding gently against the wall. When I open my eyes, I realize I'm not alone. Hello. A female tigress stands on the other end of the corridor, a smoking pipe in hand, giving me a troubled look. Fuck, I made a spectacle of myself yet again. What? She asks in a quite commanding tone, and I realize I've been dead staring at her for a few moments now. Is that tobacco? I blurt out a question, and she rolls her eyes, taking a long, exasperated puff. Ugh, not another one. It is or it isn't. What of it? Nothing, it's just I recognize the smell. Indeed I do. It is tobacco, and again, this odd past life feeling washes over me. You're in some kind of trouble, kid? No! Why do you think I am? You're clearly broken about something. I could hear you sobbing halfway through the night. Put a real dumper on the mood. Had to refund one customer. Oh! She's a prostitute. Probably this very same we heard last night. I'm quite stumped, and my embarrassed expression causes the female to first snort, then erupt in laughter. What's so funny? At first, I thought you were another whore like me. Just a fancy type, a bit more exotic, thus able to charge more. How else could you afford that dress? She points to my tunic, and I instinctively grab at its edges to spread it out a little. Oh, it was a gift. Whores don't get gifts like that. Not the ones in here, anyways. Seeing your shock-laden face tells me you really don't belong here, do you? No, I mean, not in my mind, but truth be told, this might become my home soon enough anyway. I smile awkwardly, and she smiles back, approaching slowly. The accent and your manners also tell me you're of higher stock. So, how did a well-born, well-bred human end up in a dump like this? It's a long story. She takes a deep inhale from her pipe, releasing a thick cloud to the side. Hey, I've got time to kill between now and my next appointment. I also have a nice bottle of port you clearly need, and I'm willing to share. I blink in shock at the offer. Why would you care? Gives me something to do. She shrugs. And in all honesty, I would do anything to shut you up. That sobbing is killing my business. That, and I'm bored. Her tone is more teasing than accusatory. With some of the clients acting like carpenters, banging at me as if I were a table in the making, it's nice to have a chat every once in a while. You seem interesting enough. I don't think you'd want to hear it. I shudder, not sure how open I could be about my sexuality, and it seems my embarrassment is read by her like an open book. Why? Because you're like a bit of a woven cock? Who am I to judge? I once slept with a female rhino. Finding her hoo-ha was trickier than you'd think, let me tell you. She shrugs merrily and I laugh at the absurdity of that statement. She says it like it is. Mad respect. A rhino? Long time ago and not true. Anyway. Wait. The female takes a long huff from the pipe. I saw your roommate storm past me a moment ago. A purposeful gait like that can only be fueled by a lover's quarrel. I wouldn't exactly call it that. Call it whatever you want. As I said, I'm willing to lend my ear. Okay, I could use a chat. I nod in agreement. In truth, I don't really want to be alone right now, and if this is to become my new home, seeing as she's a regular, building a rapport this early, it might be a good idea. Stay right here. I'll fetch the port. I'd invite you to my room, but it's not a place someone of your stature should be seen entering or leaving. True to her word, she returns shortly with a bottle in one paw and 2 crystal chalices in the other, her pipe securely held between her lips. For a moment, I'm reluctant to open the door to our room, patting the handle as if to check it won't burn my hand. Whatever's the matter? She asks in confusion, and I finally realize that all those freakouts are just in my head. Nothing. I shake my head and push the door open. I doubt the cosmic fart would manifest anything for both of us to witness. As she places the glasses onto a cupboard, she grabs a bottle and pours us around, swishing the pipe around in an elegant way which leaves a soft trail of smoke behind. Mind if I smoke here, or are you seriously that averse to it? What do you mean? That spectacle with the window. She bobs her head towards the door. Not the first time a snobby neighbor complained. Oh no, I don't mind. I shake my head in embarrassment as I try to figure out how to get the lights going. That was something else. She narrows her brows with a slight smirk. Here, let me help you. The female approaches one of the candles and puffs into the pipe, causing it to flare up. She lights up the wick with it, and thus the light returned to the room. I watch as she gracefully walks from one candle to another, lighting them all up in similar fashion, until finally she returns to the table and nods towards the chair. Shall I sit here? Please, make yourself comfortable. I reply through a smile while she passes me one of the filled-up goblets. So, tell me that story of yours. Which story? The one that's long and improper. Mama wants to hear it. Are you sure? I honestly don't have that much time, kids. Let us better not waste it. She sighs in mild annoyance, huffing another cloud of smoke away. I smile and nod, taking a deep breath and even deeper gulp from the cup. I begin, as I should, with me being naked and covered in blood at a tree and in a forest to her mild, surprised expression, but she doesn't bat an eye. I explain everything that transpired in turn and trying to leave out details that might put the tribe in jeopardy. The politics, the war. I just paint a good enough picture that it related directly to me. But mostly I focus on my budding relationship with Ranok and my current gripe I have with the wolf. I don't know how long it takes for me to cover everything leading up to our trip, but she seems interested enough for me not to pause, nor is she interrupting me with questions. She just listens, taking in my comments with either a nod or a smile, intertwined with long puffs from her pipe. Finally, I relay the expedition of ours, which holds her captivated with her eyes gleaming in part with curiosity but also slight envy. Seems she didn't get to enjoy much wholesomeness in her life. Either way, at first it's hard to get into the sexual details of the story, but she puts me at ease with simple laugh and reminder of what she does for a living. No point being coy or bashful in front of a prostitute. To be honest, sharing the details of my first time with Ranok, even though marred by what transpired immediately after, feels nice. Feels like the good type of bragging one does with his friends. In truth, telling her any and all of this feels really good, almost as if I unloaded part of the burden. But now, that's my story done. But now that my story's done, I simply hope for an outsider's perspective. So that's pretty much it. I finished dipping my lips in my chalice. He strung me along all this way, only to drop the truth on me by accident. That is some serious entitlement issue you have, my boy. What? I mean, it's expected given your status, but still. Nothing I can't fix. Let me tame this shrew. First of all, do you pleasure yourself? What? I blurt out in shock, my face slowly matching the burgundy of the port. Oh, shut it, kid. You're talking to a whore. I don't see any relevance. Of course you don't. I'm sure you have never rubbed one out only to be suddenly hit with massive guilt. It's normal. She shrugs, her voice laid with pity. You have no idea how many guys I had to console immediately after they were done. Half of my sessions end with tears. That doesn't make it any better. It's worse, in fact, that his sudden honesty comes from a post-orgasm feeling of guilt. You're really oversimplifying things, seeing the world in terms of black and white. The female scoffs, switching her crossed legs and pouring herself the last part of the port from the bottle. Just because someone's nice to you doesn't mean they're sexually into you. And just because someone's sexually into you doesn't mean they're interested in you romantically. You're talking as if he owes you something, even though so far it seems you've been getting plenty enough care with nothing asked of you in return. Oh, God. But he promised. And do you honestly believe he never intended to keep that promise? She asks challengingly, raising one brow and forcing me to hang my head. Are you willing to sit here, look straight in my face, and say it was all a lie? I close my eyes, a frown taking over my expression. Maybe not. Maybe he did mean it once, but then he led me on. That's what you say, and truth be told, I've seen this over and over again. People ignoring the other person, who they are, what they want, what's important to them, just because in their little head they're the main character. Their life is a well-scripted play, the world a stage. Everyone and everything must bend to them. They're the only thing that matters, and everything that ever happens to them alone. Her harsh words caused me to wince, and a realization floods my mind. To this day, he thinks he's the one who lost everything, but I was no better off. I was happy with him, and we could have been happy together. I'm ignoring his pain, his suffering, as if it didn't even exist. I have been doing that a lot as of late, and that realization makes my heart drop to my stomach. I'm no better than Tano. I've been focusing only on myself. Of course you did. We all do. But there are times when we need to understand that other people have their own feelings and priorities. You ignoring them for the sake of your wants is proof enough that you're not mature enough for a relationship. You see someone attractive and you think you'd want to be with them, and hey, they might even give you the time of their day. But the moment their priorities, the ones they always had and you yourself decided to ignore, crop up and take first place as they ought to, suddenly you're being led on. That's not how the world works, honey. That's not how people work. And there it goes. A pit growing inside my stomach suddenly turns into a void ready to swallow me whole. I'm being chastised by a prostitute, but worse yet, she has a point. I'm not ready for a relationship, and neither is he. I'm lost, emotionally unstable, and very focused on any speck of happiness I can get in this miserable situation I've found myself in. I've been putting my own needs above those of others, but why the lies? Why pretending everything's fine when it actually isn't? Sparing the person you care for some pain isn't a slight. It's an act of kindness, even if misguided. Brutal honesty is just that. Brutal. Enacted without care for your feelings or strength to bear it. Friends who hide behind brutal honesties don't look for a way to build you up, but rather for means to knock you down. I guess. I sigh heavily, somewhat conceding to her point. But it's not entirely like that. He just doesn't treat me like an equal, constantly admitting stuff as if I were a child. And have you asked yourself what have you done to warrant such treatment? She looks to me with a slightly taunting smile. Respect is earned, boy, not given. If you truly believe he's malicious, I have no idea why we're even having this conversation. But it seems you give him credit, which only means he's shielding you from the hard truths because he doesn't believe you can handle them. If that's the case, then that's on you to prove him wrong. And trust me, he will be glad for it. Why should I have to prove myself to someone who doesn't trust or respect me? I think that's going a bit too far. He does trust you and respects you, just not in everything, I'd imagine. Her expression grows colder as she raises one brow and a nod reluctantly. With a mindset like that, you'll end up hurt and alone, with no one else to blame but yourself. That sort of domineering behavior will inevitably push everyone away. I know I wouldn't be able to deal with that. That's why I ran off. It's better to be a whore than someone's afterthought. A distant knocking draws our attention towards a corridor. And that would be me, she says, correcting her dress and grabbing the empty chalices and bottle. Honestly, kid, if only everyone had a friend like yours to cry about, the world would be a happy place. You think I'm selfish? A little bit bratty, but given what happened to you, that's quite understandable and easy to forgive. If only you'd extend that courtesy to those around. A stranger saved your life, sheltered, clothed, and fed you at great personal risk, showing time and again nothing but kindness. I trust that person with my own life, as they've proven beyond any doubt to be good for it. Anything else is just you whining. But, see, your lips are moving and you're about to complain again. She winks, approaching the door, and I decide to help her open it, as her paws are full. Just as I'm about to turn the handle, I stop and look to her with one last thing I have to say. Thank you for listening and the good advice. Anything to stop that ear-splitting sobbing. The female smirks teasingly. But in all seriousness, I'm happy I was able to help. What about you? Don't you need help? I ask, wondering if perhaps I could somehow repay her kindness. You willing to take care of this one for me? She nods teasingly towards the door. He's a big, well-endowed leper, but sloppy in bed, but a generous lover. I laugh uncomfortably, and she flashes her brow. Thought so. Your lightheartedness is inspiring and surprising. Are you really happy? You mean happy being a whore? Yes, it's my choice. I have a roof over my head, food on my plate, and drink in my glass. I meet people, some quite interesting, might I add. She smiles widely, and I cannot help but blush at the veiled compliment. And I'm free. Free from my abusive family, free from forced marriage, free to travel and go wherever the wind blows. The fake morality this world tries to impose on us is just another form of prison, one meant for your mind and body. I don't intend to be a prisoner ever again for as long as I live. Well said. I chuckle. I didn't expect this conversation to be this enlightening. You mean because I'm a whore? She mocks me, teasingly rolling her eyes and swirling the edge of her dress. That's when we both shudder slightly at the loud banging on the far-off door. I better go. He's getting impatient. Impatient customers tend to be less generous, both in coin and in bed. And with that, I open the door and she steps outside, leaving me alone with quite a mindful to process. Oh, there you are, handsome. I'm sorry, I was just freshening up. Her voice echoes down the hallway. Fucking finally. Oh my. My, someone's quite eager. I won 3 silver against a die sharp and then caved in his muzzle. I need to fuck now. I hear her chuckling as they disappear from the corridor into the confines of her room. Do I need to turn off the audio? As open-minded as I try to be, I don't think I could stay here and listen to her orgasmic moans and groans while another horny male destroys her all over the room. Nope. Just as I hear the bed jump with a loud thud, I decide to leave for the main hall and await Ranok's return there. As I descend the rickety stairs towards the main hall, I'm greeted with only a few patrons scattered around the hall. It's quite empty for obvious reasons, and only Sylph seems to be running the bar. I approach the counter trying to locate Ranok in hopes he's simmering here somewhere over some ale, but it seems he has left. Did she my companion? I ask the bunny with slight worry, and she puts down a cloth with which she was cleaning some tankards. The broody wolf, he ordered moonshine and left to catch some air. Is that safe? Safe? She blinks as if she didn't understand the question. Is there anywhere that hulking beast wouldn't feel safe? I cannot help but chuckle at the remark, but still look to her with concern. I guess, but you know what I mean. Not really, no. She smirks teasingly. You have nothing to worry about, sugar. He'll be fine. We've got night watch all over town. If anything, they'll be questioning what he's doing out this late. Speaking of, what time would you say it is? It's the hour of the wolf, funny enough. How long past midnight is that? 3 hours, give or take. She shrugs. So it's 3 in the morning. Maybe I should go after him? Bad idea. The girl shakes her head slowly, causing her ears to flop. I half expect the guards to bring him back here for snooping around. Better you stay here if they do. Foreigners skulking around the streets at night aren't exactly a good look. True. I mutter slightly unnerved. I didn't even think about this. Oh god, what if he gets thrown in jail? Or worse, what if he decided simply to leave me here? Did he take the gold? I didn't pay attention. He abandoned you. Nope, no. That's not who Ranok is. He might be dumb and insensitive at times, but he would not leave me here just like that. Besides, he asked me to collect myself, and that's what I should do. Everything okay, sugar? Shit, if the bunny's picking up on my nerves, I must be really fucked. Yeah, just a bit anxious. Couldn't sleep well. Aw, you're a nervous traveler. I'm not a nervous traveler. It's quite common for a nervous traveler to deny he's a nervous traveler. Luckily, it's something I can help you with. No lavender. I blurt out in panic, causing the bunny to shudder. The last thing I need is another dream sequence. Sorry, I can't stand lavender. Makes me sick. I clumsily make up an excuse, embarrassed that I startled her, but she quickly dismisses it with a kind smile. Aw, why didn't you say so? I know just the thing. Tisane with a hint of gin. She clasps her tiny paws and rushes off through the side door. She returns momentarily with a bubbling pot and a cup. I look inside and there's some dried leaves she quickly soaks in boiling water. The floral scent hits my nose immediately. Chamomile and valerian root. We brew it a lot. While it cools, simply breathe it in. She gesticulates towards her nose and I do just that. In the meantime, she takes two small glasses and fills them up with a clear liquid. Once poured, she pushes one towards me and I look to her in confusion. What now? Now, we drink the gin. She smiles toothily, clinking her glass with mine. Amused, I shake my head and down the shot. The gin is less smooth than the Everclear, but leaves a pleasant herbal aftertaste, almost as if one swallowed mouthwash. One more for good measure. The bunny fills the glasses once again and raises hers with a quick toast. Yiamas, I think that's how you say it. To us. I nod in cheerful agreement and down the gin goes. I grimace slightly as the initial novelty wore off, and indeed this feels like chugging Listerine. Takes some getting used to, but here. She now finally nudges the steaming pot. Should be good enough to sip now. Thanks. I nod once more and allow her to return to her duties. She continues to clean up the silver and deposit it into the drawers, while I try to drink the floral brew while it's still hot. It doesn't taste much of anything, but there is some distinct leafy naturesque flavor to it, but otherwise, it's just hot water. But despite all that, I do feel much calmer and relaxed now. I don't know how much time passes, but eventually I move to one of the tables, watching the room finally clear out. The last to least customers is being dragged off by his screaming wife, calling him a no-good layabout and hitting him repeatedly with the folded apron. While the last man standing, a rather small in stature tigery youth, had to be chased out by Sylph. I look at the window, and although the sky's still dark, there's an undeniable subtle glow of twilight somewhere in the distance. I try not to worry, but it's hard not to with the passing of time. There you are. I rise, seeing the wolf finally enter through the back door. What are you doing down here? Ranok blinks in surprise, stopping a few paces short of my table. I was waiting for you. I thought you might have gotten arrested. No such luck. This city is calmer than a name tree grove. I just needed some air. You feel any better? I should be asking you that. He scoffs in mild amusement, and I nod. True, I feel better now. Had some help. I jiggle the now empty cup in the wolf's size. Good. I know this is all hard, and I don't want it to be harder than it needs to be. Agreed. I can't promise to take you back. My personal wants and feelings are not important. Your safety and that of my friends takes priority. He says in an uncertain voice, taking few reluctant steps towards me, and I pat the table. I understand, even if I hate this decision with every part of my being. That makes the two of us. The wolf scoffs, taking a seat opposite me. Can you truly promise me you will come back? No. He exhales heavily. Between today and the next year, there's so much that could happen. I could be dead or injured or imprisoned. I frown at the suggestion, but allow him to continue. I thought my life was grounded, structured, and focused, but everything fell apart the moment I met you. I'm not saying you're the cause of it all, but it's like I was living in a bubble and your arrival burst it, opening my eyes to mayhem and peril lurking at every corner, not just for you, but for any of us. For the first time in my life, I don't know what to do or what's going to happen. All I can do is mitigate the damage that's already done. Again, he issues a strained sigh, and I'm struggling with the urge to comfort him. That's when his green, full of determination eyes drill into my very soul. I don't know the future, but I can promise you this. As long as I'm able, I will look for a way to return to you. Not a single night will pass when I won't miss you, and the sheer idea of us reuniting one day will be all the hope I'll need to get through whatever comes. I like you better like this, when you're honest. I smile, thinking to the conversation I had with our neighbor, deciding to lean onto her wisdom. And I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to bear it before. I bet holding stuff up must have eaten at you. There's nothing I wouldn't do for my friends. I would lie, steal, kill, or cheat if I had to. He shakes his head in dismissal, and I decide to butt in with the half-joke. You didn't steal for Tano. Because I didn't have to. The wolf states plainly. We could have run off without a single coin, just as many other wolves did. Had this been his proposition all along, perhaps I'd even fool myself into believing his intentions. Why did he want to steal the gold then? I don't know and I don't care. Ranok pouts in slight annoyance. If Tano was so desperate to get out of our village, if he hated our people so much and was done with his place in our tribe, what stopped him from running off after we broke up? He poses a question and I raise my brow. His life is a living nightmare of his own making. What for is he enduring all of this? Wait, what? When we were together, all he could talk about is running off. But if I broke his heart, if I truly were the only string tying him down to our tribe, why did he stay? He didn't stay for the love of me, nor to spite me, really. I lean in closer, looking at him intently. Why did he stay then? My bit too eager question causes him to retreat slightly. I don't want to talk about it, not now. But I think it should be obvious that Tano's aim was never to abscond on his own, but to make me run away with him. The more damage that would cause, the better. Pilfering my father's coffers, breaking my oaths, abandoning my birthright. I don't understand. What for? I blink in confusion. It doesn't matter. The wolf shakes his head in defeat. Some wounds are really hard to revisit, especially when they're still festering. Tano's betrayal hurts more than I dare to admit. He betrayed my feelings, my trust, and my confidence, all because I told him no. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to prod. I mutter awkwardly, feeling guilty I actually made judgments about the situation I am still not fully aware of. It's fine, I'm just really done with that relationship, if I can even call it that. One of his schemes failed, by now I'm sure he has another. You think he had some sort of a grand plan? Tano always has a plan, he sneers. That wolf makes contingencies instead of plots, hidden within schemes. He's always 2 steps ahead of everyone. I would admire him if I didn't fear him so. You're not serious. I smile weakly, looking to his narrowed eyes with worry. I wish I wasn't. Tano's not malicious. No, I never said he was. He shrugs. Malicious people are fools who act on impulse. Tano's calculated. Coldly so. Yeah, but Azula was malicious, and she was cold and calculated. He didn't do anything to hurt you, did he? Aside from trying to unmask me as defective in front of the entire tribe? No. But I never given him any reasons to. Our personal history is ours alone, and he knows this. That's why I try to keep Volenvorce out of it. Tano is exceptionally clever, and despite not realizing it, the tribe needs him, now more than ever. I nod in understanding. He really does care about his people more than about himself. He cares enough to ignore his personal wants and qualms. I feel so petty in comparison. I'm sorry I used your past with him against you. It was uncalled for. You confided in me, and I betrayed that trust. I'm not trying to make an excuse, and I hope you can forgive me. I just felt hurt. After our joint confession, everything just happened so fast and took a turn I just didn't expect. It's fine, Kalen, he says tenderly, using the pet name he gave me and ruffling my hair. For some reason, that nickname makes me feel safe and warm. It feels mine, my own, utterly removed from anything that came before. We both fucked up. I should have been more open about things from the start, but it doesn't come easy. At least I can understand why. For what it's worth, I really do care about you, and the I love you, don't worry about it. I shake my head softly in dismissal. I don't think we should revisit confessions made in the heat of the moment. You have found me in quite the ordained way during a crucial juncture in your life, and now? You came back from battle facing potential death. Obviously your investment with me will exceed anything rational, and I cringe slightly. I am devoid of any memories or direction in life, with the only constant to ground me being you. My devotion, even if foolish, comes with necessity. I don't have any other choice. It's as if fate forces us together, and you don't like that. He concludes in a solemn tone, and I tilt my head. Not necessarily. I just don't enjoy thinking that all of this is orchestrated and not really resulting from our own choices. Would you even find me remotely interesting had we met in a tavern? Would I be so lenient if you weren't my only guardian? I see where you're coming from. Those same questions bothered me over and over again when it came to Tano. Oh! I looked to him with curiosity, hoping he'd elaborate, but the wolf sighs reluctantly. I really don't want to get into all of that again. There's too much to unpack there. But know this, with Tano, I always felt deep down that there's an ulterior motive. With you, all my instincts simply shut down. And that's good? No, not really, but for someone like me who has his guard up all his life, who's always on high alert, letting yourself get completely lost is refreshing, liberating even, as silly as it sounds. I smile, blushing slightly at this revelation, but I don't want to dwell on it too much. There's more important stuff to worry about, as I look towards the brightening skies. I think we should head up and salvage whatever's left of this night. We better. There's a lot of things we need to get sorted today. He nods in agreement. Shall we start at dawn then? No need to get up that early. Might as well not sleep at all. but we shouldn't tarry beyond the second hour. Good. Sylph? I look towards the bunny who's been clearing out the last bits of cutlery left by the guests. Yeah, sugar. Can we please be woken up on the second hour? Sure thing, sugar. She nods happily as we get up. I'll pass it on to the boss. Thanks. I bow to her in gratitude and bid Ranok upstairs. Come, let's get some sleep. To be continued. The pain. The pain. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna set this up. Let me like adjust in such fuck. Do that. Yeah, hopefully it does, but like we still need like something to read through. Read through until then, so I'm still going to set up the poll real quick. Trying to like work out what it should read. I like light mode. Hold on. Well, let me toss that over here, and I'll just go to like a random list. itch.io. Here we go. Already played Neko Jichi. Hold on, there's a tag associated with my project. Oh yeah, that one. Okay, it's not going to be, it's going to be, 21 hours long. So we'll have 21 hours, so... Yeah, it's just Twitter notification, what's that? Okay, well, not much else can be said, so I'm gonna head off here. Stay safe, have a good night, and I'll hopefully see y'all tomorrow.